When a ruthless CEO mocked a humble black waiter during a corporate dinner, she had no idea she was seconds away from the most humiliating shock of her career. She challenged him to translate a foreign conversation, thinking he'd fail, but what he revealed next shattered her pride, exposed hidden truths, and changed every life at that table. Isabella Hartman, CEO of Hartman Global Enterprises, prided herself on running the toughest finance company in the city and being feared for it. People didn't just respect her, they walked on eggshells around her. Tonight was one of her most important nights. A dinner with two foreign investors from France and Japan who could help her sign a multi-million-dollar merger. The restaurant was elegant, candlelit, and filled with elite businessmen. Among the waiters was Andre Lewis, a 27-year-old black man working the evening shift. Quiet, polite, always attentive. He had kind eyes and moved with calm confidence, something Isabella mistook for arrogance. As Andre poured wine for the guests, Isabella noticed the French investor, Monsieur Dupont, speaking softly to his Japanese counterpart in French. Both men laughed, exchanging comments Isabella could not understand. Frustrated by not knowing what was being said in her presence, she assumed their laughter was directed at her. Trying to regain control of the room, Isabella snapped her fingers at Andre. "Hey, you," she said loudly. "Since you're standing there doing nothing, why don't you translate what they're saying?" Her tone sliced the air like a blade. The room froze. Andre calmly looked up. "Ma'am, were you speaking to me?" Isabella scoffed. "Obviously. Come on, if you're so smart, translate." She smirked, expecting humiliation to follow to her. A waiter was someone beneath noticing, let alone respecting. Monsieur Dupont shifted uncomfortably. "Madame, perhaps?" She raised a hand, silencing him. "No, let's have fun tonight. I want to see what our waiter knows." Andre gently set the wine bottle down. "What they said?" he began softly. "Was that the duck confit here is even better than the restaurants in Paris, and they were joking about how you remind them of someone they know who is always too serious." The table went silent. The French and Japanese investors stared at him in shock. Isabella blinked hard. "Wait, you speak French?" Andre replied calmly. "And Japanese, ma'am. And a few others." Her face hardened. "Oh, really? Then what about this?" She turned to the Japanese investor and told him in painfully broken Japanese, "Tell him something he can't translate." The man looked embarrassed but complied, saying softly in Japanese, "This young man seems far more educated than the woman insulting him." Without missing a beat, Andre translated, word for word. The entire table broke into stunned silence. Isabella's cheeks turned crimson. One of the investors let out a surprised laugh. Another whispered, "Incredible." But Isabella wasn't done. "Oh, you got lucky twice," she muttered. "But let's see about something harder." Her ego was cracking, but her pride wouldn't let her stop. She turned to Dupont and said, "Say something in another language, anything. Let's watch him fail." Dupont hesitated. "Madame, this is unnecessary." "He seems very—" "Just do it," she insisted sharply. Dupont sighed, then spoke in flawless German. Andre waited, then translated perfectly in German as well as English. Gasps surrounded the room. Isabella's jaw dropped. Her plan had failed, but she didn't apologize. She couldn't. Not yet. Instead, she glared at Andre with a mix of anger and confusion. "Who are you?" Andre bowed respectfully. "Just a waiter, ma'am." But the sparkle in the investor's eyes said otherwise. And tonight, the truth was only beginning to unfold. The dinner continued awkwardly. The investors were now more interested in Andre than the CEO hosting them. Isabella couldn't stand it. "So," she said, loudly enough for the entire table to hear, "you're a waiter who speaks French, Japanese, and German? What did you do, take some YouTube courses?" Andre smiled politely. "No, ma'am." Isabella leaned forward. "Then explain." "Because people like you don't end up with skills like that." The word "people like you" rang in the air like an insult. Everyone heard it. Everyone understood what she meant. Andre's expression didn't change, but something deep in his eyes dimmed. Monsieur Dupont spoke sharply. "Madame Hartman, you should respect your employees." "They're not employees," she snapped. "He's temporary staff." She turned back to Andre. "Well, are you going to answer?" Andre took a slow breath. "I can explain," he said gently. But you may not like the answer. Isabella crossed her arms. Andre began. My mother was a refugee from Sierra Leone. She escaped during the Civil War. She raised me alone, working as a cleaner in embassies. I spent most of my childhood there surrounded by diplomats. Many of them taught me languages. I picked them up naturally. Senator Takahashi leaned forward. So you learned by listening? Andre nodded. By listening. By helping. By being treated kindly. The senator glanced at Isabella. Kindness is powerful. Andre continued. I graduated top of my class in linguistics. I planned to become a translator at the United Nations, but my mother got sick cancer. I spent everything on her treatment. The hospital bills, they were too much. She passed last year. The room fell silent. Since then, Andre said softly, I've worked any job I can, including waiting tables. Even the clattering of dishes in the background seemed to pause. Isabella, for the first time, had no comeback. The investors looked at Andre with admiration, but they looked at Isabella with disappointment. Yet Isabella still clung to the one lifeline she knew, power. Well, she said sharply, this is all very tragic. But it doesn't change the fact you embarrassed me in front of guests. Monsieur Dupont frowned. He did not embarrass you. You embarrassed yourself. Isabella looked stunned. We came here to discuss a merger, Dupont continued. But you have shown a complete lack of humility. Takahashi nodded. And poor leadership. Isabella's throat tightened. Gentlemen, let's not be dramatic. But they weren't done. We prefer to work with leaders who uplift others, Dupont said. Not those who mock people doing honest work. Andre tried to protest. Please, sir, she didn't. But Takahashi raised a hand gently. You do not need to defend her. Your dignity speaks louder than anything she said. Isabella felt the ground slipping beneath her. For the first time in her powerful career, she was being judged, and not by her board, not by her competitors, but by her own guests. Worst of all, she knew they were right. The check came. Isabella sat stiffly. The tension around the table was thick, but then something unexpected happened. Dupont looked at Andre. Mr. Lewis, can we speak to you outside? We have an offer. Isabella snapped her head up. Excuse me? He's a waiter. Dupont ignored her. Andre followed them outside, confused. Minutes passed. When they returned, Isabella's eyes widened. Andre's whole face had changed, shocked, hopeful, overwhelmed. Dupont announced, We have offered Mr. Lewis a full-time position as our international liaison translator, with housing support and a yearly salary far above what this restaurant pays. Guests clapped softly. Andre covered his mouth. But why me? Takahashi smiled warmly. Because you have intelligence, humility, and a story worth honoring. Then Dupont added, and because you deserve a world that recognizes your value. Isabella felt her stomach flip. She stood abruptly. This is ridiculous. You can't just hire my waiter. Dupont turned, calm but stern. He is not your waiter, Madame Hartmann. He is a man of remarkable talent whom you humiliated. Takahashi stepped forward. And for the record, we are withdrawing our merger proposal. The restaurant went silent. Isabella staggered. You can't do this. We can, Dupont replied. And we have. The two men shook Andre's hand respectfully and prepared to leave. But Andre hesitated. He turned back toward Isabella. Despite everything, he felt compassion. Ma'am, he said softly, I don't want you to lose business because of me. Isabella's voice cracked. It's not because of you. Her eyes glistened something no one in her company had ever seen. It's because of who I've become, she whispered. She swallowed hard. Mr. Lewis. I'm sorry. Not whispered. Not forced, but real? Andre nodded gently. I forgive you, ma'am. And that forgiveness unexpected, undeserved broke something open in her chest. For the first time in years, she felt human again. Dupont stepped close to Andre. We must go. Your new journey begins tomorrow? Andre smiled, tears forming. He bowed to Isabella. Thank you for allowing me to serve tonight. I hope someday you find what you've lost. He walked out with the investors toward a new life he never imagined. Isabella sat back down, trembling. Her empire was intact. Her pride was gone. But maybe, just maybe, her heart had finally woken up, and in a quiet, almost broken whisper, she said, maybe he was the smartest one here after all.